next at asparagus. Many people wonder, what do I do with asparagus? How do I cook this, or what do I do? Because it has this really rooty end to it. You have a couple choices. One choice is you can cut the end off. And many people like to take it where it's flexible, where it automatically breaks. Sometimes that's not the best way to sample a piece of asparagus, because this right here is still really good food. What I could do with this, I know it's still tasty, but I do know it gets kind of woody down at the end. So I might want to simply cut the very tip of it off. And if I use, again, my paring knife, I can just scale back that real fibrous piece right there. And now I have asparagus that's not fibrous or woody, asparagus where I can eat the whole piece. If you choose not to, you could always put it in a stock, put it someplace else and use it differently, but this saves the whole asparagus and makes it delicious. Okay, let's look at something else. Herbs. Herbs are sometimes difficult to deal with. And this is just simple parsley. In restaurants we use parsley all the time. But to use parsley, the goal is that we need to make this into something where you're not going to take a big, huge bite of this stuff, because it's not going to be very pleasing to your palate. So these leaves are what we want to save. So I pull off some leaves, and I want to turn these leaves into a usable herb. So what do I need to do? For herbs, I'm going to do something called chiffonade. I'm going to take this parsley, kind of roll it all together. Chiffonade, fancy word. And I'm going to use that same rocking technique. We'll cut down the parsley. And now I have kind of bigger leaves of parsley, and this is totally acceptable to use in a soup or a base. But if I want parsley that's really fine, that you just notice the flavor, not necessarily the parsley, then I can rock my knife back and forth on my table, moving it up and down. You don't have to hold the tip down. And I'm creating what many restaurants use as a garnish on the plate. So I have now this tiny little pieces of parsley, and you can see it falls really nicely, and I can use that on my plate as a garnish, or I can use it as enhancer. If we use fresh herbs, it's really important to remember, put fresh herbs in at the end of the dish. So if I'm cooking a soup, I'll put the fresh herbs in at the end. If I'm cooking a soup and I'm using dried herbs, those go in on the beginning. So the dried herbs have a chance to bloom and become excitingly tasty. Okay, next thing up is the onion. This causes lots of people lots of problems. So this onion, I want to figure out a way that I can cut this onion, make dices in the onion, but not have to do two things. For one, not cut my fingers, and for another, not cry. So here's what I like to do. I'm going to take this onion and I'm going to take both ends off. Use the same method. Always put my fingers up, curl them, take the core root out, and take the bulb side out. And watch what I'm doing with my knife. Okay, I didn't go all the way through, because I want to peel that back a little bit. You see how on both sides I have a place where I can peel that onion now. Because I didn't go all the way through, I let the knife kind of stop at the end. I'm going to take my onion and cut it in half. Now I have two pieces. I'm breathing through my mouth, because if I breathe through my nose, which is directly connected to my sinuses, what's going to happen is all those oils from that onion are going to come into my nose, go into my eyes, and I'm going to start to cry. So if I can continue breathing through my mouth, I probably won't cry as I cut this onion. So I have an onion, and now it has a bulb size side, and it has a non-bulb side where the flower grows up. And there's this little silver skin. This is so important to see. This silver skin is what makes people usually cut their hands. If I don't remove that silver skin off this onion, then it's going to be, here it is again, it's going to be really slick. So this has to come off before you can cut your onion. Make sure all the silver skin is off. Now your knife is going to like to stick to it. So, bulb side, side that grows up out of the soil. I want to make some cuts in the onion, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my chef knife. I'm going to cut sideways into the onion. Then I'm going to cut down the onion to create my dice. Doing this, I want to keep my bulb side away, because that's what's going to hold the onion together for me. And I want to use the open side. So here we go, and here we go. If I had silver skin on here, my hand would have slipped off the knife and possibly been cut. So I formed 3 slices, again using my knuckles as a guide. I'm going to simply cut down the onion. So now I've created an onion with it sliced sideways, sliced up and down. Put the blade of my knife on the board, and presto changeo. Now I have a whole bunch of perfect dices, each one exactly like the other, just because I diced as a professional chef would. I have now this bold piece, and I have to make some decisions. I can use the bold piece, or I can throw it away and put it in the compost. Instead, I choose to use it. So as I get closer to the bottom, I lay down the bowl, continue to cut, turn sideways on my board, and just create a dice out of the part that I didn't dice before. Okay, so now we have an onion that's all perfectly diced. And I'm not crying because I tried my best to breathe through my mouth. Okay, a couple more things. We're going to make some minestrone soup after we're done, so all these vegetables will be going to great use. Here's a basil plant, and basil we use in the same way. Basil is an aromatic herb. It smells incredible. So I'm going to pull this basil off, and if I want to use it in spaghetti sauce, or I want to use it for a fresh salad, or maybe on top of my pizza, I have some choices. It always looks good just like this, or I can do that chiffonade again. I have these leaves, and I want to stack them up on top of each other. I'm going to roll the leaves up into a little tiny package. I'm going to use my knife and do the same exact thing I did before, and just chiffonade, create these little strings of basil. When you go to a nice Italian restaurant, you see strings of basil on top of your pasta. This is exactly what they just did. They just chiffonaded it and created these little strings of pasta that taste delicious in your mouth. So there's basil. When we're working with other fresh herbs like rosemary, fresh herbs that come on a stalk, thyme, rosemary, not sage, thyme and rosemary, and that smells good. Those type of herbs that come on a stalk, all we do is take our fingers backwards and just pull them straight off the stalk. Nobody, if you've had one bite of a big old piece of rosemary, you know that it probably tastes kind of like a pine tree. So our job for rosemary is to get those into smaller bites. Do exactly what we've done before. Place our hand against the knife blade, give them a quick dice or a quick chop, and when we chop those, all this amazing aromatic scent comes flying off of the herbs. So if you want to create a beautiful scent around your house, use fresh herbs. Remember, fresh herbs are always used at the end of the cooking cycle. Dried herbs are always used at the beginning of the cooking cycle. Okay, and here comes our very last vegetable. A potato. Potatoes, I peeled this potato already, and this potato has been sitting in water because the starch will start to come out. Our potato turns brown. So as soon as we peel a potato, we want to put it in water, or our soup or whatever, and it stays its beautiful color. I want to do exactly what I've done before. Knuckles against knife, knife on the table, slice straight down. Now I have 2 slices of potato. I'll put one back into the bowl. My job is I want to dice this potato. I'm going to do it exactly like I did the carrot. Here's where it gets tricky. I want to make a solid base. You see it's flat on one side, on this side it's not flat. So I'm going to put my fingers all the way on the top. I'm going to guide that knife down through the potato. Now I have 2 fairly equal pieces of potato. Cut one more right on the top. Piece of potato on the floor. Go to the sink and wash the potato. Now if you've ever done that, and you know in restaurants you have to throw that away, but if it's your own kitchen, you get to make a choice. The 5-second rule, up to you. So I know my floor is fairly clean, so I'm washing that piece of potato and I'm not going to throw it away. So I have now 2 perfectly thin slices, both kind of exactly the same thing. Stack them on top of each other, cut down, make those same Julienne or bâtonnet batons that are square, kind of like a French fry. Stack them all up together and slice them just like I did before. So now I have a whole bunch of perfectly cubed potatoes where the cubes are the same size. I can put this into a soup or a base, and when I boil these potatoes up, they're going to cook at the same speed. Okay, there we have it. Today we've learned, hopefully, how to use a knife effectively and efficiently without cutting our fingers off. And we also learned that there's different ways to cut vegetables, and that different way depends on how we want to cook our vegetables. Thank you for listening. This is the end of Dieting with Dignity Cooking School for today. Stay tuned, and next time we'll be creating a different dish. Thank you. Have a great day.